Hey, it's Andy from Hihon, and today I'll be breaking down some whole head-on shrimp and cooking some of the heads and the shrimp shells in some sunflower seed oil, which we're going to go ahead and use to make a mayonnaise for our fish tacos later. This mayo is going to have some pretty basic stuff that you see in a lot of mayonnaise. We're going to have a little bit of Dijon mustard, some lemon. We're using sunflower oil here. We're going to use an egg. I got some chives here that I just wanted to use up. A little bit of garlic. I've also got some salt here. And in this white paper towel, I have a little bit of washed cilantro. For prices today, I went ahead. My wife was giggling last night when she watched my Lubina sea bass breakdown. She does it for a living, and she made fun of me because apparently I did a horrible job. So today I bought another one. You can see it's the exact same weight as before, about a half a kilogram or 1.1 pounds. I also got a half a kilogram of these shrimp, which I'm going to show you how to break down. Beautiful. So as you can see here, these are really nice looking head-on shrimp. Taking them apart is easy. All I'm going to do is take my finger right here in between the head and the body. I'm kind of going to push down while I rotate and squeeze, and it just comes off like that. All my heads and my shells, I'm just going to toss in this little sauce pot right here. And bear with me as I take these things off. When I get to this point and I've taken off a couple of the outer rings of peel, I'm just gonna go ahead, kind of straighten out the shrimp like this. I'm gonna pinch with my right hand here as I pull. You see it just comes right out. Great. Same thing, we're just gonna bang these out. This one's pretty big, you can see. So when I was breaking down this Lubina last night, I don't know if anyone who watched the video picked up on it, but basically, like, when I was trying to get off the first fillet, I kind of just cut right through the spine and did not do a nice job. So after I get done with these shrimp and I start heating them up in some of the oil that they're going to infuse, I'm going to go ahead and break down another Lubina for you. You can see with some of these, there's a little bit of this orange, kind of juice that's in the head. It's actually really flavorful, and it's going to give our oil a little bit of this beautiful kind of orange tint to it, and it's going to have a really strong shrimpy flavor. God, in culinary school we had one of our classes was in Cuisines of Asia's course, which is, it's only 3 weeks long, and it's really hard to cover Asian cuisine in 3 weeks. You can't really do it justice. You're trying to do Indian food, Chinese food, Japanese food, fruit from Thailand, food from the Philippines. There's a lot of different cuisines to cover. But we had this chef in that program, Chef Chang, and she's been at the school for a few decades now. She's kind of a legend. And this woman, she's one of those master chefs where everything you watch her do, everything you watch her break down is so fast, so skilled. She would be done with these shrimp 3 minutes ago. I went ahead and bought half a kilo of shrimp, which is a lot, considering I'm just living in this apartment with my wife. But one thing that I wanted to make with these, in addition to I'm gonna throw them in some of these fish tacos we'll make later. But I'm also gonna use about half of them to make something that's fairly common out here in Asturias, which is stuffed piquillo peppers. They have these beautiful little preserved piquillo peppers that are preserved in oil, and what they do oftentimes out here is they'll make kind of a thick bechamel type sauce, and they'll stuff the piquillo peppers with the bechamel sauce and then bake them, and it's incredible. But anyways, this version that I make has a bunch of these shrimp mixed into the bechamel, so it's kind of like a shrimp pepper bechamel, and that's what gets stuffed in the piquillo peppers. I have a lot of heads here and a lot of peels. Don't worry about the little red feelers that are sticking out. And now we're almost done with the shrimp here. The one thing that I have yet to do that is really important to do is kind of make sure you clean out that digestive tract. There's a little bit of poop in the shrimp body. It's kind of gross. It does kind of have a flavor. So we're just going to go ahead and take that out. There are a couple ways to take out those bowel sections. You can kind of see it right here. This little thing right here. You can go ahead and gently just try to pull it out. And you'll see. Pull out that whole section. So that's clean, that's good. And if I can do it that way, it's, arguably the most, I don't have to cut it, leaves the shrimp intact. It's not a bad system. Occasionally, it's hard to grab that track and get it whole when you're pulling it out. Like this one's kind of tough. I don't know if you can see that. See this guy? He doesn't really want to come out. So in that case, that's fine. We'll just set it aside, and I'll cut this up with a knife later. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these because I don't need them to be super fancy. And all I'm going to do is just take my knife right here. I'm just going to cut right along the back of the shrimp over here. I'm using my knife here because I do think it's maybe a little faster for me than pulling out all the guts from the head section. But I do think if my wife were here, she would have a different approach, which is cooking, right? Everyone does things differently. Everyone's kind of got their own methods, how they like to do things. Great. And now all I'm going to do is go ahead, I'm going to rinse these under water real quick, cold water, and just make sure that I can get out that section. Great. Just bear with me a minute. You still have a little bit that's left in the tail. It's not gonna I like to get them clean. Because we're not in a huge rush here, and I'm making these for my wife, so it's nice to make them nice. So the restaurant that my wife works at is called Gloria. It's here in Gijon. It's one of the restaurants that's owned by Nacho Manzano, who's kind of a big deal out here in terms of Asturias cuisine. And, he's got a bunch of restaurants. He's got one of the only 2-star Michelin restaurants here in Asturias called Casa Marcial. But anyways, my wife at this restaurant she works at, she's kind of the fish person. She also works the wok station, but she gets in all this fresh fish, like a bunch of lubina, a bunch of merluza, which is merluza is hake, and the day they get it in, they get it in a couple times a week. They'll break down everything, and one of the dishes that she has to make all the time because it's so good is called the nem, and it's basically like a roll that has like a little bit of baby lettuce, and it's filled with like, I don't know, this like beautiful seared like part of the pig neck. It's got like a bunch of herbs, and it also has a bunch of sauteed shrimp in there with a sauce that's kind of Asian themed. Anyways, this thing is incredible, this nem. But to make this, my wife has to prep so many friggin' shrimp. So she'll just go ahead and she'll crank out, hundreds and hundreds of these things. Just kind of all over. And all I'm doing right here is I'm just drying them off a little bit. They're a little bit wet. And I'm gonna stick them in the fridge. And I don't need them to be sitting in liquid. Anyways, I've got my plate. Freezer plate to keep these nice and cool. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop these on here. Beautiful. And there we have our shrimp ready to go in the fridge. Cook them up whenever we want. The next thing that I'm going to do really quickly is go ahead and clean off my board a little bit here. And what I'm going to get started are these shrimp heads and peels with a bit of this oil. I've got a lot of shrimp heads and peels, so maybe, I'm thinking I don't need this much mayonnaise, and it's a lot of shrimp mayonnaise for me to have at home with just 2 people, but I'm thinking I do 2 cups of this sunflower seed oil. That's like, I don't know, 480 milliliters. This plastic container, it's just, I don't know if, a lot of you are probably familiar with. You know what? Let's do a cup and a half. Let's do 12 ounces and see. Yeah, that's fine. I don't need this. I don't need to make 3 cups of mayonnaise, I think this is going to be adequate. Great, so all I'm gonna do is go ahead, I'm gonna put that on my little induction stovetop over here, crank it up all the way, and once that's heated up, we're gonna squash all the heads inside of it, and we're going to strain it, and then cool it down and use that to make our mayonnaise. Right here, got an example of our shrimp heads and the peels just cooking up in that sunflower seed oil, infusing that oil with all that delicious shrimp flavor. And you can kind of see already, you know, that oil is not the same color that it was earlier. We've kind of got a lot of stuff going on in that oil now. It looks beautiful. It smells incredible. Okay, so I am back. All that I've done is waited for these shrimp heads and peels to get cooked up in that oil. You can see I've got a little strainer here. Stirred it around and kind of let some of the extra oil drip off. Again, it smells really, really nice. I'll go ahead and get rid of these shrimp. They have served their purpose without making a mess. There we go. Okay. What you can see here with this liquid that we've got, it's really kind of murky now. You see there's some solids in there. I don't know how this little tentacle got in there, but let's take that out. And I've waited for this oil to cool down. You know, it was obviously really, really hot earlier when it was cooking with the shrimp heads and peels. And if you added it when it was really, really hot to this container, and then we used our immersion blender and blended it together, we would have some problems. So anyways, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer this oil back into this container, and then we're gonna go ahead and make our shrimp mayonnaise with some greens in it. And just because I'm curious how we did on our yield here. You know, guys, we lost about 3 ounces of liquids. We're dealing with a final amount of about 9 ounces of oil here, shrimp oil. And that's gonna be the base for our mayonnaise. So we'll go ahead and get started with the other ingredients, which are our mustard. This is just Dijon mustard. It really helps with the emulsion, so I tend to go a little bit heavy on it. I'll do a big spoonful in there. Also, I like mayonnaise in my, I like mustard in my mayonnaise. Perfect. I'm gonna squeeze in some lemon juice. Try not to get the seeds in there. I like a lot of acidity in my mayonnaise. I'm gonna go ahead. I didn't get a ton of juice out of that in the first half, so I'm gonna go ahead and add most of this second one. If I need to use a little more later, I'll save this lemon and I'll use it. We're gonna add our cilantro. You know, this is a lot of cilantro relative to the amount of oil. I think we'll be okay. I've also got these chives here. I don't know. Sometimes with these mayos, I'm gonna do whole eggs. Just because I saw a guy here do it with whole eggs and he was a fucking rock star. One thing with making mayonnaise using an immersion blender like this, you know what? I shouldn't have even dropped in that second egg. My ratios might be a little fucked up. Maybe I'll have to add in a little more oil. And if so, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add my roughly chopped garlic. I've got a little salt in here. I also have some chives that were just left over. Great. And yeah, guys, our ratios are kind of off here. But you know what I'm gonna do because of that? Normally we do, you know, just 1 egg per cup of oil. I'm gonna go ahead and just top it off so that we're kind of at the, you know, I probably got 14 ounces of oil in there right now, which feels like a good amount. We don't have a lot of equipment here in our kitchen here in Spain, just because we moved here from the US not super long ago, back in February. One item we did go ahead and buy was an immersion blender because, you know, these little stick blenders are wonderful. They're not too expensive. They're really powerful. So to make this mayo, I'm just gonna jam this immersion blender in here and hope for the best. Look at that. You see that emulsion? It just happens. You know, I'm gonna keep going just to get some of those green bits a little more broken up. And shit. Let's taste this. Oh man. I feel like that's like perfect. I don't think I want to add anything to it. Yeah, I'm good with this. I'm good with that salt level. I'm good with the acidity. The shrimp really comes through. It goes beautifully with the chives and the little bit of cilantro in there. I think all of it together, this mayonnaise is gonna be really, really nice. Look at how thick that is. You know, it's nice. It's a nice thick consistency mayonnaise. And God, it's really good. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, culinary school, they have you practice. You're making it with a whisk in a metal bowl. Holy hell, this is so much easier. Hope you enjoyed.